Hi guys, welcome back to another session. So the last time we were able to really look at the significance of the frame clause, right? Looking at when we would what the default looks like as rows between unbounded preceding and current role, and also rows between, and then we'll see what the values looks like. Okay, so let's go back to what we our original illustration here. So now we do have, I'm going to run this again. And I'm going to comment this out, and then I'm going to run that. And then now going back to when we have total revenue per customer, running total per customer, right? So we do know how we calculate all of that. So let's move to, let's say for example, we have the filter. We want to introduce the filter. How will that work? Okay, so how will that really works? And another thing we can actually do here as well is that I did mention it in the last video, but I'm just going to quickly touch on it again. We can also convert this to total revenue per customer. You see here, we only use partition by customer ID, right? Now in this case, we're going to use the same what we have here, similar to what we did in the last video, and then we're going to switch this over to unbounded following, right? And that's exactly going to give us, let's do this one, going to give us total revenue per customer as well, okay? And you're going to see the same thing. And if you follow the logic we explained the last session, you would understand that it's exactly what we should expect. Now let's move on. Let's go to filter. Let's add some other arguments here. So let's say for example we want to filter out revenue or total due that are only want to filter the ones that are below or equals to 2,600, but anything beyond 2,600 we want that to be calculated. What do we do? So we had filter here. Okay, we had a function called filter where, okay, and then we will say total revenue, okay, total revenue here is greater than 2,600, okay. And then so what's going to happen here is that you're going to see different values here. So let's run that quickly, and then you begin to see that the value is different. Why? For example, this is a little bit different, right? And the reason is basically because if you look at these particular values here, you will see that 2587 is lower than 26, and so you can see the filter being considered here, and that's why you have 2,700 and 3,756 being considered. And the same thing applies here as well. You see the value is no longer the same because here we are only looking at these two. This 650 is not going to be considered, and it's going to go on and on and on and on like that. So you can see the power of where you need to add filter. If you had to do this differently, you might use group by, but then you would have to have multiple CTE functions. Okay. All right. Now that we understand that, there is one more thing we want to add. So we're just going to say total revenue greater than 600 per customer, okay. And then we're going to then do one more, okay, and we're going to add the exclude, okay, and we're going to say here that exclude, and we're going to say current row, and this one, from the explanation of the last session, you should be able to get an idea of how these work. So basically, it's going to, if you want to calculate, it's going to say, okay, first of all, this is not going to be counted, and then second of all, if I'm looking at this value, I would have to exclude this value, but only return this, okay, and that's how it's going to work. And then when you look at this value, okay, you can then see, okay, if you look here right now, you can see it's returning different values. And the reason for that is because it's going to look at, and don't forget, it's unbounded preceding and unbounded following, right? And so what's going to happen is going to look at this value. I'm going to have to exclude this, add these two together and return it here. This one is excluded, add these two together and return the value. Here is going to exclude this current row, add these two together, and then you're going to get different value. And that's what's going on right now, okay? And you can see and that's what you have here. You can see 2,700 here, and basically what it's excluding the current row, right? It's excluding the current row. And then what I would do here is that I would switch this over to current row, so it's a bit more clearer to us. So let's do this, switch this over to current row, and then so that it's be more clear to us, okay? So basically it's going to look at this value, okay, and say, okay, I'm only going to concern myself with this current row, and I've been asked to exclude it. And then whatever is before it, there's nothing before, so it's returning null. It's going to look here and say I have to exclude this, okay, and whatever is before it, okay, is what I'm going to do. You can see, and here it's going to say I have to exclude this. However, this one also I have to exclude because of the filter functions, and then I only have to return this value. So that's how the exclude really works. So we can rename this one to say exclude current role, and we'll say exclude current role, okay, per customer, okay. And this is really how you'll be able to, based on use cases, you can use filter, you can use exclude, you can use the frame clause, you can use partition by. Sometimes you don't have to use partition by, just use order by, and then you can use it as needed. The key point here is that I want you guys to really understand this concept, know it very well, and use it for your various work, okay? And also keep in mind that some of the systems, SQL system, doesn't support exclude and filter, okay? But Postgres support it, and some other systems do support it. So keep all of that in mind. Practice, and if you do have questions, put it in the comment, and then we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And if you have feedback for us, also feel free to reach us on our various platforms. All right, I hope this has really been beneficial to you, and I want to say thank you again for joining us on this one, and I will see you in the next one.